All right, so we're on to In Carnuntum Part 4. This one is quite long. It's essentially, it's one full page and about a third or quarter of another page. So we'll see what we do once we read through it. Let's see what it's like. Here we go. Don't waste the rest of your time here worrying about other people, unless it affects the common good. It will keep you from doing anything useful. You'll be too preoccupied with what so and so is doing and why and what they're saying and what they're thinking and what they're up to and all the other things that throw you off and keep you from focusing on your own mind. So right off the bat there, I'm just going to jut in here because it's so long. That's essentially what he was saying in several passages ago, where these things are obstructions. Do what you want to do, but as long as it's not harming anybody else, and don't worry what other people are doing unless they are harming other people or gonna harm you. Let them do their thing, you do your thing, and don't let them distract you. You need to avoid certain things in your train of thought. Everything random, everything irrelevant, and certainly everything self-important or malicious. You need to get used to winnowing your thoughts so that if someone says, "What are you thinking about?" you can respond at once, and truthfully, that you are thinking this or thinking that. And it would be obvious at once from your answer that your thoughts were straightforward and considerate ones, the thoughts of an unselfish person, one unconcerned with pleasure and with sensual indulgence generally, with squabbling, with slander and envy, or anything else that you'd be ashamed to be caught thinking. Someone like that, someone who refuses to put off joining the elect, is a kind of priest, a servant of the gods, in touch with what is within him and what keeps a person undefiled by pleasures, invulnerable to any pain, untouched by arrogance, unaffected by meanness, an athlete in the greatest of all contests. The struggle not to be overwhelmed by anything that happens, with what leaves us dyed indelibly by justice, welcoming wholeheartedly whatever comes, whatever we're assigned, not worrying too often or with any selfish motive, but what other people say, or do, or think. He does not what it is his to do, or he does only what is his to do, and considers constantly what the world has in store for him, doing his best and trusting that all is for the best, for we carry our fate with us, and it carries us. He keeps in mind that all rational things are related, and that to care for all human beings is a part of being human, which doesn't mean that we have to share their opinions. We should listen only to those whose lives conform to nature, and the others, he bears in mind what sort of people they are, both at home and abroad, by night as well as day, and who they spend their time with, and he cares nothing for their praise, men who can't even meet their own standards. I was listening to a podcast the other day with Kevin O'Leary, and it was The Diary of a CEO. I forget the host name. I think it was the first time I've ever actually listened to it. I've seen a bunch of clips though, but it was interesting. And Kevin O'Leary was talking about how he knew Steve Jobs. And one of the most defining aspects of Jobs was that he had this intense and is constant, it sounds, adherence to this noise to signal ratio. And I think that's exactly what Marcus Aurelius is getting at here. It's a very roundabout way of saying, if you have something to do, well, I suppose Marcus would say it more in, if you have something to do and those things are influenced by And insofar as those things are influenced by good intentions, good, honest, and noble motives, and you set forth to do them, it's not only your responsibility to do them, but also your fate and destiny as predetermined by the gods, by nature, and you should do it with, not really that you should do it with pleasantness, but I mean someone pursuing this type of aspiration is bound to be doing it fairly pleasantly, rolling with the punches that come along going down that path. They're unaffected by meanness and kind of maybe jive comments that I don't think I've ever used jive really before, but in my language or my talk. But it doesn't matter what the other people say around you if you're pursuing a goal that's kind of oriented around those aspects, and it's a noble pursuit. And that's the signal. And this is kind of going back to Kevin O'Leary's thing or about Steve Jobs. That what Jobs would say about that is that the signal is, the pursuit and the goal, and everything else that comes to obstruct that signal and that pursuit and how you're going to get that done is just noise, and it doesn't matter. Again, with the caveat here that if you're going to be harmed, or someone's in grave danger, that might not really hold true, but just people slinging verbal arrows, thinking poorly of you, maybe shunning you socially, or doing things that might sometimes make you look like a fool or a recluse, or it's kind of even a prick. Some people view other people with ambition as just selfish, and as long as none of those things are true, and you're doing something solely for maybe the monetary gain or the gain of status, or for pleasure, and you're doing it for these higher purposes of helping out yourself and your family have a better life, it's very interesting to you. Maybe it comes with money and fame, sure, but you're more so curious about figuring out that thing, that everything that comes across your path and these obstructions, they're all just noise. And Kevin O'Leary was saying that he reckoned Jobs's ratio was 80% signal, and 80% of the time in his day was focused on just completing tasks that he thought were important, and then the other 20% would be the noise that he allows into his life. And now, though, actually, as I say that, though, I think Jobs was quite, from Kevin O'Leary's description, he was quite, because what Marcus is saying is noise, or these obstructions are just negativity and distractions and such, and they have a negative connotation about them. But I think if you were to spend time socializing with friends and you really enjoyed that, or time with your family, Marcus would probably say that's also pursuing it. And again, if you're just there with them just to appease them, then probably not. But for most people, they want to spend time with some leisure time with their family and such, and with their friends, and relaxing and all this. But I think what Jobs would say is that anything outside of pursuing the goal, like going to the bathroom, or spending time, maybe not all the time, with his wife and family and such. I don't even know if he had a family. I shouldn't really speak for him here, because I think Kevin O'Leary said he'd really have to get the answer from his late wife, or his wife that's still here. But he viewed a lot of things that were outside of his goal as noise, even things that a lot of people, they're striving towards this goal to find curiosity, or maybe have some extra money on the side. And then again, not just money, but then to improve their quality of life. And what improves quality of life? Well, spending time with loved ones is a huge one, if not the very number one thing. Doing cool things together, contributing back to community in certain ways. And so, yeah, I forgot exactly where my mind was going with that one. But I guess all I'm saying is, yeah, it's advisable to not get lost in that pursuit. It sounds like Steve Jobs was quite very goal driven and very focused on his goals. And if that's something you want to do and that's your curiosity, then by all means. But I think Kevin O'Leary also said he never saw Steve Jobs laugh once. And so that doesn't sound like a very enjoyable life, even though he was one of the most accomplished technologists and futurists of our time. But I think what Marcus would say is, pursue the things that add value and meaning to your life, and they don't always have to be productive and necessarily with a definitive goal and a project completion date in mind. It could just simply be, I want to spend time with the love of my life, and that's all there is to it, and that's my goal, and enjoy each other's company. It doesn't have to be this itemized, like very rational way about it. But in that sense, though, there's the rationality of knowing yourself and knowing what you want is kind of another layer inside of that. And so how do you want to spend your time, and how do you want to spend your life? And then this last line, we'll finish off here, but and he who cares nothing for their praise, men who can't even meet their own standards. So my mind goes to just famous people in general, and people will uphold them on a pedestal for doing these things, but they themselves, and I don't know many personal examples of this, but they won't even meet their own standards. Should that famous person even care about their praise, is what he's saying, or this person that's accomplished so much? Why should they even care about their praise? And this time, he's not saying anything negative. If nobody's slinging arrows at him, they're, so he's saying, kind of catching both sides of it. Don't get engorged in praise and high and mighty and thinking you're great and on top of the world for just doing what you love. But don't also stop doing what you love, because people will undoubtedly hate you for it, or be jealous or envious of your position or your confidence. So get out there and do it. Again, it's one of those ones. All right. Thank you.